All right, welcome back. It is officially Feast Week, the first of 2 straight weeks, I guess you could say, of tournaments in college basketball. We got a short group of us, just 2 of us today, myself and Ariel, picking some of the best games this weekend. Dan is enjoying a vacation somewhere warm and somewhere nice. So we kind of envy him, but we also don't envy him because it means that he can't watch and pick college basketball games like we can today. First off, Ariel, it's been a crazy couple weeks in college basketball, but I will say there haven't been a lot of upsets. Maybe we'll see some more this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at just yesterday, we saw a lot of maybe not top 25 teams, but a lot of favorites lose early in their tournaments, which obviously in any tournament setting, that's always fun to watch. And, we haven't even seen a lot of the big boys play, none of the Maui, none of the Bahamas, anything like that. So, yeah, it should be a really great week and a half, and hopefully a lot of upsets as well.
Yeah, we're really just getting started here, and we've got some great games. We had some great games yesterday, Thursday, all throughout the day. This is one of the best times of the year. I know you put out a tweet, what are the best times of the year in college basketball, and I think most fans would agree. Feast Week is up there. March Madness certainly holds its own just identity and respect, but Feast Week really starts getting you into the college basketball season. Again, make sure to subscribe. We want more followers on YouTube. We definitely want to keep pumping out content like this. It helps us get some pretty cool guests. Again, today, pretty light. It's just me and Ariel picking these games, but we will try to bring on some cool guests in the future. And we want to start with our game of the week, a 10:30 p.m. tip-off. By the way, these are our weekend game picks, but all but one game are today, Friday. It's a loaded Friday schedule. Got some championship games coming up on Sunday, but this is a game between 2 top 20 teams, Duke and Arizona, and yeah, it kind of just writes itself, right?
Yeah, should be a great game. If you remember last year, Arizona went into Cameron Indoor and won, something not a lot of people were expecting. Obviously, Arizona was great last year, and so was Duke, but winning at Cameron as a road team is very tough, so very impressive there. That team looks a lot different, though, now. Boswell's gone. Ballo's gone. Caleb Love's still there, but we saw how he struggled against Wisconsin. Really couldn't get anything going. So they'll really need to look for him to be great. He'll have to make shots. He'll have to be consistent throughout the game, stay out of foul trouble if they want to win this game. Duke, on the other hand, they look good against Kentucky, but losing that game was a little bit concerning. I think they'll turn around today. Cooper Flagg's obviously awesome. Conconapel's been a great surprise for everyone. Obviously, he was a 4-star recruit, but he's been one of the best players in the country, one of the best freshmen in the country so far. So that's been really impressive. It'll really come down to the forward play. Awaka's been great. Can he contain Flagg? If they can cancel each other out, I think Arizona's a slight edge in guard play plus home, but it really comes down to that. Flagg is hard to compete with. So really excited for this game. Matt, I'm sure you have a lot to say as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to in this game, and I feel like there's players on both sides who I'm really surprised have started out slow, right? You look at what Caleb Love has done so far, just 11 points per game, 35% from the field, 26% from three. We know he's had efficiency problems over the years, but it usually hasn't limited his scoring this much, right? So I want to see what Caleb Love is able to do and if he can turn things around. And then I'm looking at Malik Brown, a guy who I obviously covered at Syracuse. He's only getting about 20 minutes a game. He's rebounding the basketball really well, which is one thing that you knew he would bring to Duke, but only averaging 2 points per game. I know that he wasn't going to be one of the top scorers on this team, but how can you get him involved? Because he was a pretty consistent, efficient scorer at Syracuse, and I think that can really help. Like you mentioned, Duke's going to have to try and combat this Arizona team inside as far as Toby Awaka, Trey Townsend. Carter Bryant's played pretty well early on as a freshman. There's a lot of good Arizona players inside the paint. I think Malik Brown could be a guy to step up. Ariel, if you're looking at this game, who do you think could be like a difference maker on either side?
Yeah, I think for Duke, Flagg's the obvious choice, but I think it's Knappel, like I kept saying. I think if he goes for 20, and they have no answer for him, it'll open up the offense a lot more. It'll allow Proctor to facilitate, which that's where he's at his best. If he's not looking to score, it'll open the floor for guys like Flagg. It'll allow the big men, like we said, for Duke to really step up. For Arizona, I think you have to look at Jaden Bradley here. He's been good, not great, not what we've really wanted to see from him. He got that starting job this year after not having it last year, and a lot of people thought he would take that step up. Hasn't shown it yet, but we know how good of a player he is. If him and Love can really control this game, I don't think Duke will have any answer for those two. But it really comes down to if he can step up, even if Love is great. If Bradley can't have a big game, then it'll be tough for Arizona to win this game.
Rochester kid there for Jaden Bradley. Always got to shout out people from where I'm at right now. Let's get into our picks, though. I'll let you pick first, then I'll go to myself. We'll continue this order throughout. So who do you have winning this game at a 10:30 tip? We love how college basketball markets the best games.
Yeah, sure is crazy, but I can't complain when UNC and Hawaii tip off an hour later. So, I've honestly been going back and forth, deciding who I think is going to win. First, I was leaning Duke just because I think they're the better team. Then the home play came into play for me, the home court and the night, kind of atmosphere. So I think I'm going to lean Arizona here. I think they'll use that home court to their advantage. It'll be a very close game. And then I think Duke, unfortunately, will use this kind of fuel and negativity and take out my Kansas Jayhawks on Tuesday in Vegas.
I love it. I also think one thing that will help Duke is already having played in the Champions Classic. Arizona's played Wisconsin. I know that that's also a big-time team to play, but I think Duke playing in a big-time environment like that will help. But I also am going to side with the home team. I feel like Arizona is going to have this place packed. This is the game of the year of the season for Arizona at home. They're going to have some other great ones in the Big 12, but this one should be rocking, and I've got Zona in a close one. And now we're going to get into our rapid-fire picks. We got 9 more games to get to, again, mostly today. We're starting off with a 5 p.m. tip here on the East Coast. Wisconsin taking on undefeated UCF.
Yeah, talk about two teams who are up and down. Wisconsin looked awesome against Arizona, who we just talked about. And then they could barely beat Rio Grande Valley in their last game. UCF on the other side, they crushed Texas A&M. Not crushed. They beat them, but, a game they weren't supposed to win. And then they kind of let Tennessee Tech hang around with them last game. So I think this game will be close, like the Duke-Arizona game. But I'm going to lean UCF here. I like their guard play. They have great scoring, and I think that'll be enough.
Yeah, that UCF win over A&M was one of the biggest surprises so far of the college basketball season, and I like how they were able to beat FAU. Look, I know a lot of people are going to look at what Wisconsin did to Arizona, but I just think that we know that Arizona is going to score a lot of points and give up a lot of points. I think that win I think the UCF win over A&M says a little bit more about what they can do, right? Because they can score points, but they can also win close, low-scoring games. And for that reason, I like the Knights to take this game. Let's move over to another game between, two teams, one team close to my heart, and that's Seton Hall taking on Vanderbilt in the Charleston Classic.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expected these two teams to play, but on the loser side of the bracket instead of the winner side. So, both teams with really impressive wins in the first round. I think Vanderbilt's got the slight edge. I'm just worried about Seton Hall's offense. Obviously, their defense is great, but Mark Byington's a winner, and I think they get it done here.
Yeah, I really like what Vanderbilt has been able to do so far, what they did in the transfer portal. Devin McLaughlin is a guy that can kind of play into what Seton Hall likes to do and be aggressive, and I think he can match that. And just A.J. Hogarth's play so far. I mean, what he's done at Vanderbilt has been nothing short of fantastic. After coming over from Michigan State, I've got the Commodores winning this one as well. But props to the Pirates for taking down VCU. All right, another Big East team going against the ACC's Virginia in the Bahamas. Can St. John's put together a game and maybe not be too tired after the double overtime classic against Baylor?
Yeah, I mean, what a heartbreaker last night. Going to 2 overtimes, being up by 5 with under 10 seconds left, and somehow losing that game. You have to think that has to be on the players' minds a little bit. At the same time, though, no offense to any Virginia fans here. I know Sam, Dan, both big Virginia fans, so they probably don't want to hear this. So glad they're not on the podcast. But there's just no comparison between the two teams. St. John's is a whole another level, and I think this won't even be close. St. John's by, I'm going to say 15, to be honest.
I'm actually going to go with Virginia here. I worry about St. John's, just seeing how tired they may have been from that game. Obviously, it was the early game, so they play the early game here again. They don't get much time to rest. Virginia gets less time to rest because they had the later game last night, and I know they just got blown out, right? But just seeing how much some of the Johnnies were sort of hurting in that game, we know that's kind of been the story throughout Kadari Richmond's career. but I just wonder if they have the fuel left in the tank. Obviously, Virginia got blown out, so they really didn't even play a full 40 minutes of basketball. I do think that Virginia comes back with a win here, but hey, I like the Johnny's pick. I think this will be a closer game than 15, personally.
We'll have to see.
Then in Brooklyn, another one of my teams. I promise I didn't do this on purpose. They just happened to be playing on the same day in a packed Friday. Syracuse and Texas Tech. I know that you'll probably go with the Big 12 team here, right?
Yeah, one thing I will say about it is it's going to be a close game. Syracuse, doesn't matter who they're playing. It's going to come down to the last second. We've seen them go toe-to-toe with Texas yesterday. We also saw them go toe-to-toe with Colgate. We saw them go toe-to-toe in several other games against mid-majors. So if you want to look for a team that plays their opponent, Syracuse is definitely your team. I love this Texas Tech team. I was shocked they lost to St. Joe's. St. Joe's is a great team. They've got really talented guards, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But I love JT Toppin. He's been incredible. 18 rebounds yesterday with 22 points. I think they win this game.
Yeah, look, all I got to say is Texas Tech is averaging about 90 points per game in 5 games. Syracuse played better defense last night against Texas, but defense has been an issue through the first at least 3 games this season. I don't know how they're going to shut down this Texas Tech team. But again, should be an orange crowd. SU maybe a little bit motivated from the way they played in that second half. I got Texas Tech, but I do agree this will be a close game. We go back over to Charleston. VCU and Nevada, the losers in round 1. It kind of sucks this game's on ESPN Plus because honestly, this is a very good game between 2 mid-major teams that could see March Madness later on.
Yeah, I would be surprised if both these teams aren't in March Madness, to be honest. VCU is looking like the best team in the A10, even though St. Joe's got that win yesterday, and so did I think Dayton won, but they didn't play anyone. But yeah, they look great. Mountain West is pretty much up for grabs, but Nevada could very easily win that conference. So this should be a great game, one of the better mid-major games all season long. I like VCU here. I think I was shocked, like I said earlier, when they lost to Seton Hall. I think they're a really talented team. They're really deep. They play with high energy. I think Nevada's a great team, but I think VCU has a slight edge here.
Yeah, I'm kind of going off the same thing that I thought with Virginia. I mean, or St. John's, excuse me. I know that this was only a 1 overtime game, but just the defense that Seton Hall brings, the physicality they bring, you wonder how VCU will be just one day later, without an off day to rest up. I do think that it's going to be a close game. I like VCU's chances to make March Madness way down the line. I think Nevada wins this game. I just like what they have between Nick Davidson, Kobe Sanders, just a lot of options all up and down this roster. And they kept it close with Nevada. They were a couple points away from playing in the semis against Seton Hall instead. So I do think Nevada takes this one. Got another game in your neck of the woods in Kansas City, but it's between Utah State and Iowa. Another meeting between 2 undefeated teams, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I think this is a first to 100 wins kind of game. Both teams are shooting the lights out this season. I think Utah State scored 100 points in 3 of their 4 games. In that other game, they scored over 90. Obviously, we know Iowa's going to bring the offense. They always do. They've got really good offensive players in Sanford and Freeman. So I think this will be a really fun game. If you love points, circle this one on your calendar. I think Utah State's going to pull off – I don't know if it's an upset. I don't know what the odds are. But just from a brand standpoint, I think Utah State's probably the smaller team. So I think they're going to win this game. I love this team. Another fun Mountain West team. Like I said, make sure to watch this one because it's going to be a lot of fun.
I also have Utah State. I know that Josh Dix has been dealing with an injury. I haven't seen an update. It looks like maybe a game time decision, again, as we're recording this right now. But I feel like he might be out of the game from what I've seen, and I think that could really impact Iowa in a game that looks even on paper. If they don't have him, someone's going to have to step up. So I've got Utah State taking this one. Couple more to go. Some late night Friday games. Texas and St. Joe's, the championship at the Legends Classic.
Yeah, I cannot wait to watch the guards in this game. St. Joe's has maybe one of the best guard duos in the country in Xavier Brown and Eric Reynolds. We saw how good they were yesterday against Tech, and I'm sure they're going to be as good again tonight. Meanwhile, on the Texas side, you got Trey Johnson. I mean, what a star he's been, the freshman for the team. We saw what he did against Ohio State in that first game, and I think he'll post a performance like that tonight. I don't love this Texas team, but I think they have a slight edge just in overall depth, especially in the front court over St. Joe's. So I'm going to have them, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer than people think.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great game. Look, I mean, Texas has so many great players, a potential lottery pick in Trey Johnson. I know that it was close against Syracuse, but I just feel like there was that spurt where Texas just kind of went cold, and I don't know if that happens against this St. Joe's team because I think St. Joe's is susceptible to giving up a lot of points. But I'll put this out there right now. I said it in the offseason. After I watched St. Joe's last year, I watched I think it was just one game, and I saw what Eric Reynolds was able to do in that one game. And I was like, this guy is a problem. He announced he was coming back. They brought back a lot of the same guys. St. Joe's has been my Atlantic 10 pick ever since then. So I've got to ride with the Hawks. I got to stay on that bandwagon. I don't want people to think I'm a bandwagon guy.
I love it. Stay strong with the mid-major boys. I like it a lot.
I am. I'm huge on this St. Joe's team. Shades of the squad with Jameer Nelson. Maybe they make a long run later on.
Yeah.
2 more games. 1 more tonight. Probably the best one, right? I mean, that Duke-Arizona one is our game of the week, but you got number 11 Tennessee going up against number 13 Baylor in the Bahamas in the ballroom.
Yeah, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Baylor for not shying away in the non-conference. I mean, you've seen them go on the road to Gonzaga. We saw them play Arkansas in neutral. We saw them play St. John's yesterday and now Tennessee. So that's 4 top 25 teams, and it's not even Thanksgiving yet. So respect to Scott Drew and the whole Baylor program for that. I think Tennessee's defense is really good, and I think they'll, like you mentioned, with the whole tired versus not tired thing, Tennessee had not much of a sweat yesterday. They took care of business with Virginia. While Baylor, they're coming off a double overtime emotional win. I think Tennessee will just have too much to offer, and I think they'll win this game by 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm going with that, and this has been the theme of me today. There were some long games yesterday, right? And I feel like Baylor especially, look, props to them for getting the win, but Tennessee, from the opposite perspective, just had no trouble with Virginia. I mean, look, they didn't put up 90 points in the game, but when you're beating a team by 20, you realistically had no problems. Tennessee is a reason why the SEC is just so strong this year. Look, I know everyone loves to talk about the Big 12, and rightfully so, but there's just so many great teams in the SEC. I think Tennessee really puts themselves on the map with a win over Baylor. And then we've got one more game on Sunday. It might not be the game that you're looking forward to watching, but it is between Villanova and Maryland, and I wanted to throw it on here because of the storyline. And maybe this is a little bit cooler for myself more than anyone else, but Kevin Willard and Maryland take on Villanova in the Prudential Center in Newark. We know the storyline with Villanova. There's been a lot with this team going wrong, but it's just kind of a cool thing. You wonder if there's going to be a Seton Hall presence there to welcome in Willard. It's a building that he coached in for a long time. Do you think his Terps come on top, or can Villanova seal a quality win here?
Yeah, I think this is a must-win for Neptune. We've seen, obviously, last year was not great. This year has not been great so far. This is a chance for them to get a big quality win here. I'm very excited to the forward play here, seeing Eric Dixon against Derek Queen, 2 of the best forwards in the country. We've seen what Queen did already this season, and then Dixon, he's been one of the best for a while, and he's going to continue to climb up those Villanova and Big East ranks. Sorry, Villanova. I just haven't seen enough from you to really give me a reason to pick you guys here. So I'm going to go with the Terps.
Yeah, look, I could really see it. If Villanova fans are invested in this team, this could be a very big Villanova presence in this game. It's not too long of a ride up, and they have typically done very well in the Big East tournament games in Newark before. But it just seems like the fan base is frustrated. Maryland has looked really good early on. And like you mentioned, on paper, the teams themselves might not have the draw. But if you follow college basketball, Eric Dixon, Derek Queen, that's a great matchup right there. We know what Julian Reese can bring as well. I just think Maryland has too much of a punch. They're one of my sleeper teams to make a very long run later on in March this season. And I know that a win over Villanova may not mean much, but I think they might be able to prove a little bit if they take away a win on Sunday and start to put together a little bit of a resume early on. I've also got Maryland in this one. So that does it for our game picks. Ariel, thanks for joining us this time. We'll probably have you on some other times as well.
Yeah, I just want to say that in the game picks on the CBB Review social medias, I am in first. So I think that's why it took so long for me to be on it, because Matt was scared of me picking correct and looking better than him. So just want to throw that out there. We'll see what happens this week, though.
Whatever you want to say to make yourself feel better, that is all right on this podcast. This is all love here, Ariel. But again, good luck to you. We'll see who comes out on top. We'll try to put out a standings graphic for this as well, because we've got our game picks that we do throughout the week over on CBB Review on Instagram, but we have a lot of fun on this podcast as well, picking some extra games too. So again, appreciate you all for listening, and have a happy feast week.